My name's Alexis Harding. It's the 2nd of November. We're in the studio. Very excited about showing in Milan and to have a chance to do a survey show for 20 years. We have about 4 paintings going back to 2004, with the early grid paintings right through to the new paintings, which really celebrate a sense of disruption and colour. The studio space is a place where I can slow everything down. I want to talk a little bit quickly about different zones of the studio, this use of material, oil paint, gloss paint, and then go towards talking a little bit about some of the paintings, why they work, and talk to you about the process of making them and the ideas which are hopefully are embedded within the paintings themselves. The ingredients are never measured. I don't know why I don't do that. I want to kind of be excited about this mixture of the paint and how it's going to kind of operate in the future. So behind me we talked about the oil paint. The household gloss paint goes in wet into wet. It's a kind of excitement about trying to activate the dumb, ordinary material. Household paint is paint that one can kind of order over a computer. You're looking at colour charts. It flirts and links up with the ready-made tradition of choosing colour, and that goes into the oil paint, arguably a different tradition, something organic, sensual. Together, that's the kind of first stage of the painting. The second stage is hard to talk about. It's a process where over weeks and months the paintings dry slowly, they move, they disrupt, I intervene at different times. Each combination, each incompatible relationship the two paints have, I hope to kind of embed an idea into that. So there's also ideas relating to different conventions within art, the artists I've been drawn to. I often describe all the work as slim containers. They're these time-based thin reliefs. The wrinkle that goes throughout the work, the older I get, the more I'm thinking that it's absolutely a reference to the body, the skin changing. Even though these paintings don't have ears and eyes and nose in them, they're absolutely physical and bodily. That links back to a type of indifference between abstraction and figuration I've always held. Looking at a lot of minimalist artists or post-minimalist artists and amazing fluid wet into wet painters are all in these paintings, I hope. There's also a kind of feeling that, and I thank the higher beings for this, that the work begins in a quite process-driven way, and yet there's absolutely a concern in the studio about when to stop the paintings, there's a formalism that I'm always trying to escape and failing to escape. This idea of the paintings leaking and going beyond the frame. There's an ongoing other series outside of the studio called Temporary Wet Paintings, where they release, I make them occasionally when I can, where the skin of the paint drops off completely. They're more to do with sculptural processes and setting up a procedure and walking away, whereas in the studio it is about that type of stopping them at really specific moments where I feel they're charged, and all those types of values of painting activate completely. So there's been a strange surprise, a type of greediness to wanting two different traditions and bringing those two different traditions right through into the construction of making these works. There's a type of sensuality with the work, with the wrinkle, with the skin of the paint, and there's something kind of to do with descent, and something to do with a type of repellence. I want these two qualities merging and coalescing within the works. There's a kind of dumb type of triggering surprise that I want in the paintings, this kind of never measuring the materials, the ratio of oil to gloss that are happening. So when the paintings start to move on their own accord, it gives me a type of jolt and a surprise and a type of fantastic anxiety to make them. And hopefully that tension comes out in the final painting. So yeah, this discussion is just a way in. This use of oil paint and household paint have been the consistent types of ingredients that the practice has used over 20 or 30 years. And through that, I hope great flexibility, a wide, flexible way of working is achieved. And I hope this exhibition reveals that type of impatience, but consistency. There's 20 or 25 paintings on the go at once, so that doesn't get boring. I can have this process of distraction, moving from one surface to another. This type of behavioural process happens. One painting behind me, for example, these space debris paintings, I've obviously made to do with a type of imagined geology. That could be in the satellite skies far away, or it could be to do with landscape, but it's also to do with ultramarine paint and acrylic silver paint, and putting those two materials very, very close together. It seems the associations of that painting are really kind of explicit. This painting to my left is a 2007 painting. I think it's called Us Two. There's another painting in Milan called Saint Veronica, which have these singular lines, these more corporeal works. This painting to my left is a very new painting, where you see the entire skin has moved and left a type of trace from the top left to the bottom over weeks and months and seconds. The reason the show is called 20 years, 20 seconds is because these paintings never end. Freezing them in the studio, stopping them somehow, is about split-second decision-making over seconds, but there's also long periods of waiting for that moment where the paint wants to move. And you can see this painting, the entire skin is kind of exiting to its bottom left-hand corner, and leaving another image as it. So together, you can see three different types of paintings over. There's been many series over the years which are trying to cling and signify different ideas through a kind of dynamic way of making paintings.